Picture this. Every morning, you sit down with a warm bowl of oatmeal, believing you are doing something powerful for your health. Maybe you have heard that eating oats every day can improve your skin, help you lose weight, lower cholesterol, fix digestive problems, or even protect your heart. Those promises sound convincing, especially when they are attached to a food that is inexpensive, familiar, and often considered healthy. But there is an important question hiding behind all of them. Can one breakfast food really do all of that? Oatmeal contains useful nutrients and fiber, and research supports certain health benefits of oats as part of an overall balanced diet. But that does not make oatmeal a treatment for every health problem, nor does eating it guarantee the same result for everyone. Your overall diet, portion size, what you add to the bowl, what oatmeal replaces, and your individual health needs all matter. And that last point changes the conversation completely. Because before asking whether oatmeal is good, we need to ask a much better question. Good compared with what? That question, good compared with what, is where oatmeal becomes more interesting. Imagine someone whose usual breakfast is white toast with jam, a donut, pancakes covered in syrup, or a fast food meal on the way to work. Replacing that routine with a simple bowl of oatmeal may improve breakfast quality, especially when it is not loaded with added sugar. But this does not mean oatmeal automatically causes weight loss, perfect blood sugar, or better heart health. Part of its value depends on what disappears from the plate when oatmeal arrives. If it replaces a refined, sugar-heavy breakfast, the comparison may favor oats. If it replaces a balanced meal rich in protein and fiber, the answer becomes less obvious. So instead of calling oatmeal simply healthy or unhealthy, look at the entire meal and the dietary pattern around it. That leads to the next question. What nutrients does oatmeal actually deliver into that bowl every morning? And those nutrients bring us to another popular promise: better-looking skin. Oatmeal does provide minerals such as zinc, iron, manganese, and magnesium, all of which have roles in normal body function. But here is where a reasonable nutrition fact can easily become an exaggerated health claim. Finding useful nutrients in a food does not mean that eating more of that food will automatically clear your skin or treat conditions such as eczema, dermatitis, or persistent rashes. Skin problems can have many different causes, and nutrition is only one part of a much larger picture. If someone is already getting enough of a particular nutrient, simply adding more oatmeal may not address the actual reason behind the problem. So oats can certainly contribute to a varied, balanced diet, but they should not be presented as a skin treatment. And this same distinction becomes even more important when we examine another common oatmeal claim. It's protein, and what it can really do for your muscles. That brings us to protein, another reason oatmeal is often promoted as a powerful breakfast food. A typical serving of about 45 grams of dry oats can provide roughly 7 grams of protein, which is a meaningful contribution for a grain. But contribution is the key word. One bowl of oatmeal should not be treated as a complete strategy for maintaining muscle. Protein needs vary with factors such as body size, age, activity level, overall diet, and individual health needs. What matters most is the bigger picture: how much protein you get throughout the day and whether your meals contain a useful balance of nutrients. Oatmeal can be part of that pattern, and pairing it with other protein-containing foods may make breakfast more substantial. The mistake is turning "contains protein" into "provides everything your muscles need." And once we stop judging oatmeal by one nutrient alone, another question appears. What happens after all those carbohydrates reach your bloodstream? And this is where the oatmeal story becomes more personal. Oats still contain carbohydrates, which means they can affect blood glucose after a meal. But that response is not identical for everyone. Portion size, how processed the oats are, what you eat with them, and your individual metabolic health can all influence what happens next. That is why a bowl of plain, steel-cut oats may not produce the same response as instant oatmeal loaded with added sugar. It is also why we should be careful with sweeping statements such as, "Oatmeal is perfect for blood sugar," or, at the opposite extreme, "People with diabetes should never eat oats." For people with pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, or type 2 diabetes, food choices should be individualized around their overall diet, glucose goals, medications, and medical guidance. The more useful question is not whether oats are universally good or bad, but how the entire bowl is built. And that is where one simple breakfast can change dramatically. And that brings us to something many people overlook. Oatmeal is rarely eaten alone. The nutritional picture can change quickly depending on what goes into the bowl and what is served beside it. Plain oats topped with chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, or other nutrient-dense foods are very different from oatmeal covered with several spoonfuls of sugar or syrup and paired with a sugary drink. Even the type of oats matters. Less processed options, such as steel-cut oats, generally take longer to digest than more finely processed varieties, although individual blood sugar responses can still vary. The goal is not to create one perfect oatmeal recipe, but to recognize that breakfast works as a complete meal. Think about the oats, portion size, added sugars, protein, healthy fats, fiber, and everything else on the table. And fiber deserves special attention, because it is behind some of oatmeal's most famous health claims. But oats are far from the only place to find it. That fiber question brings us to one of oatmeal's strongest nutritional advantages: soluble fiber. Oats contain beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber that has been studied for its role in supporting healthy cholesterol levels and normal digestive function as part of a balanced diet. But this is where another miracle food story can begin if we are not careful. Oatmeal does not own the fiber category. Foods such as chia seeds, avocados, beans, fruits, vegetables, and other plant foods can also contribute valuable fiber to your diet. That matters because good nutrition rarely depends on getting one beneficial nutrient from one specific food every morning. A more practical approach is to build variety across the day, choosing different fiber-rich foods that you enjoy and tolerate well. Oatmeal can certainly earn a place at the table, but it does not need to carry the entire burden. And there is another important twist. Even a fiber-rich food may not feel beneficial to every digestive system. And that digestive response is exactly where individual differences matter. Because oatmeal contains fiber, it is easy to assume that eating it will automatically improve digestion. For many people, oats can fit comfortably into a balanced diet, but not every digestive system responds in the same way. Oats are naturally gluten-free, yet ordinary products may come into contact with gluten during growing or processing. For people with celiac disease, choosing oats specifically labeled gluten-free can therefore be important, while individual tolerance still matters. Some people may also experience bloating or other digestive discomfort after eating oats, and those with conditions such as SIBO may have specific dietary considerations that require professional guidance. The key is not to label oatmeal as universally good or bad for the gut. Pay attention to your own response and seek medical advice for persistent symptoms. This same balanced thinking becomes important when we turn to oatmeal's reputation as a heart-healthy food. That brings us to one of oatmeal's biggest reputations: being a heart-healthy food. But the reason deserves more nuance than simply saying oats contain good fats. Oats do contain some unsaturated fat, yet their potential cardiovascular value cannot be reduced to a few grams of fat in one bowl. Their soluble fiber, especially beta-glucan, is better known for helping lower LDL cholesterol when consumed in sufficient amounts as part of a healthy diet. Even then, oatmeal is only one piece of a much larger pattern. Foods such as avocados, nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, legumes, and other whole foods can contribute different nutrients that support cardiovascular health. Just as important are physical activity, sleep, smoking status, blood pressure, and the overall quality of the diet. So eating oatmeal cannot guarantee protection from heart disease. Its real value is as one possible part of a healthier lifestyle. And that finally brings us to the question this entire story has been building toward. Is oatmeal actually right for you? So after all the promises, warnings, and comparisons, the most useful question is not, is oatmeal good or bad? It is, does oatmeal make sense for me? For many people, a simple bowl of oats can be affordable, convenient, nutritious, and a meaningful improvement over a breakfast built around refined grains and added sugars. But that does not make it the perfect breakfast for everyone. Portion size, preparation, toppings, overall diet, digestive tolerance, blood sugar response, and individual health needs can all change the picture. Someone managing diabetes, celiac disease, persistent digestive symptoms, or another medical condition may need more personalized guidance before making major dietary changes. The lesson is bigger than oatmeal itself. No single food deserves to be treated as a miracle or a villain. Build meals around variety, balance, and what works for your health. If this changed how you look at your morning bowl, share your experience below and subscribe for more evidence-based nutrition discussions.